everybody, my name is JD and this is my channel Frost and Forest. Today I'm going to do a tarot tag, and the tarot tag that I'm going to be doing is called Show Us Your Decks. It was started by Angel over at Feeding My Soul. That's her channel. And this seems like a really fun tag because it's super random, and it means that I'm kind of showing you all decks that I don't normally show on my channel, which maybe was kind of the point. But anyway, I'm really excited to get started. And if you haven't checked out Angel's video, I definitely recommend that you go check that out. Just the joy when she was going through this process of looking for decks is just great. I'm pretty excited to do this tag as well. So there are going to be 15 different tags. So I'm going to be showing a lot of decks today. So this might be a slightly longer one. We will have to see. And hopefully I grabbed everything. Okay, so let's get started. First prompt is a deck you want to use, but for whatever reason hasn't seen any playtime on your desk. And so for me, I chose the Fire Tarot of my choice, and this is actually the cloth that matches it. So this is part of a series of decks that basically she's working on trying to do one for each element. And so this is the Fire deck, and it focuses on dinosaurs, obviously, and lizards. And so that's part of the reason why I was really excited about this is, as I mentioned in my last video, there are not very many dinosaur decks out there. And also, I used to work with a lot of lizards that I would show to kiddos. And so lizards have a special place in my heart. And so I got this deck because, let's be honest, I'm gonna probably get all of her decks and have the whole series because I love this art style. I love how dark and moody it feels. But I haven't really used this deck yet. And again, I think it's part of it is because it's spring and this feels like kind of a summery deck to me. But I definitely am going to have to pull it out. Look at that beautiful frog. I hope you can see that on screen. Yeah, you can almost see it better on the camera. So yeah, this is a beautiful deck, and this is one that has just not gotten enough playtime yet. But I think very, very soon I'm gonna need to start. Oh, look at these little frogs. They're so cute. So yeah, this one I think is gonna need to playtime soon. Oh, sorry folks. I know some people don't like snakes. We'll end on a dinosaur. See, isn't that an awesome Queen of Swords? It's so cool. Okay, so this is the first deck I was sharing with you all, and hopefully it'll get more playtime soon. Prompt number 2 is the 12th deck from the right on your tarot shelf. So I have a few different tarot shelves, so I just kind of randomly picked one and then started counting to 12. The deck that I ended up selecting is the Southern Botanic Oracle. This is a really great deck. I love the art piece. I love the botanical feeling. This is a deck that it's time for me. We're just kind of, just starting. Things are just starting to green up where I am. And so once it gets a little bit greener, then this deck will definitely be one that I pull out. And I particularly love pairing this deck with the Herb Crafters in the summertime. This is just, I love it. And I think this art is beautiful. I do know that the creator of this deck is going to be, I think, launching a Kickstarter soon. And as a part of that Kickstarter, there's going to be a new version of this deck. From what I've seen, it looks like it's going to be remove most of the borders. It'll just have the borders on the bottom. And in that Kickstarter, it also sounds like she's going to be launching a new Haunts deck, which I'm pretty excited about. I love the spooky Southern Gothic-y thing. But yeah, this was the 12th deck that I picked. This one is beautiful. I use this one a ton. It's just not quite this deck's time yet. Prompt number 3 is a deck you're thinking about rehoming. I just showed this deck in, was it my last video? I don't know. I showed this deck pretty recently, so I'm not going to show it a ton. This is one deck that I'm considering rehoming. I have had it for quite a while, and I just haven't really been called to use it. And so I'm thinking about it. I don't really want to rehome it because I love the witchy feel to it. I love the colors. It seems like a great deck. But for whatever reason, I'm not really using it. I love that. For the cross, it's tarot cards. That's great. So it's a fun deck, and the art is really nice. But I just haven't found the time or space, or haven't really, worked with it yet. So this is one that I am considering rehoming, but I haven't made that decision yet. And so this is the Paper Moon Oracle. The next prompt is a deck you don't store in its original box and why. So here is the deck that I'm going to show you all. This is Tarot of a Witch's Garden. So here you go. You can see this deck. And basically, this is a really great deck. But this is one of those Llewellyn decks that comes in a big box, and so the box is just really big. And so because of that, all of these Llewellyn decks that I have, I end up putting them in bags, and then I store the guidebook in a different spot. And so honestly, I could have put any of my Llewellyn decks in here. I just haven't seen this deck in a while because we're just now getting to spring. And so I wanted to pull out this deck and look at it because it's about ready for this deck's time during this year. And this is such a pretty deck. I love that Queen of Swords. So yeah, this is my choice for a deck that I do not store in the original box. This is the version that had the mix-up with Justice, but that doesn't really bother me. I just kind of use it. Yep, Justice is 10 here, but that's okay. Anyway, this is a beautiful deck, and this is one that I store in a bag. The next prompt is a deck with more or less than 78 cards. For me, I chose the Creatures Tarot, and the reason I chose this one is because she did do a second set of majors that you could get. And so I decided to get it. And so there was 2 of each of the majors, and you can decide which one you want to use. Which I think is kind of cool. But I really like this deck. It is so beautiful. These creature decks are some of my most favorite decks ever. I like the color, I like the texture, I like the creatures. It really works. And so, yeah, This deck, I will say, this creator has a Kickstarter. If you want to back it, you can, is I guess what I was trying to say. You can back it. And this deck can be an add-on for a different deck that she's currently trying to get published on Kickstarter, or trying to get published through Kickstarter. And so as far as I can understand it, the deck is very similar, but she maybe made some touch-ups to it. So for example, I've seen the new card for this Knight of Wands, and it's a lot brighter in the background, so that candle, you know, kind of pops out a little bit more. So she's done a little bit of touch-up, but it is pretty similar of a deck. And the new one does come with both sets of the major arcana. So you would get, you know, the normal tarot plus an extra 22 cards. So yeah, this is one of my favorite decks. And so I wanted to show it because it definitely has more than 78 cards. But it's so beautiful. So yeah, this is the Creatures Tarot. Next prompt is a deck with a cloud on the box. And so I looked through my shelves, and the first deck that I found that has a cloud on the box is the Mystical Medleys Tarot. So this is such a cute deck. I really like it. I've had it for a long time. I don't always use it a ton. Just because I'm not always in the mood for this cartoony style, but I would also never get rid of this deck because I grew up on old cartoons like Betty Boop, that kind of looks like Betty Boop, and I would watch those with my family, and so I have a lot of nostalgia around this deck, and so even though it's a little strange, it makes me happy. This is also one of my favorite Three of Swords cards because it always makes me think about, you know, I know that the heart is smiling, which is a little weird, but that's just what these cartoons were like. They were a little weird. But the reason I really like this card is because it always makes me think about, you know, when you're hurting, you are potentially more likely to hurt other people as well when you're in pain. And so this just makes me think about that, and so I think it's really interesting, and it's one of my favorite Three of Swords. But yeah, this is a really great deck. It's very cute. It has lots of clouds in it, as you can tell. And so this is my pick for a deck with a cloud on the box, and this is the Mystic Melodies Tarot. So the next prompt is a deck you've never shown on your channel before. And so I decided that I was going to show the Magic Dog Tarot. So this is a really great deck. It is the only dog deck that I have, and I'm pretty sure I've never shown this on my channel, which is why I wanted to show it. But this is my only dog deck. I'm pretty picky about dog decks. And so, but this one just feels so much like doggy energy to me. The guidebook is really great on this deck. It's just kind of a little white book, so it's not super in-depth, but each of the cards get like a paragraph or two, and it's a great deck. And so, you know, I have a lot of different cat decks. I think I'm less picky about cat decks, but for me, I want a dog deck that is not just making dogs out to be, I love this devil card, it's not just making dogs out to be goofy, but also the fact that dogs get afraid, and, you know, dogs are sometimes stinkers. And so I think that this deck really captures that for me. And so that's why this has been the only dog deck that I've had so far. And then the groomers are the death card. It's a hard transition for sure. So yeah, this is just a really cute deck and I really like it. And I'm glad I've had a chance to show it on my channel. So this was the Magic Dog Tarot. Well, and actually that is kind of a perfect transition for the next prompt. So the next prompt is a deck with another animal besides a lion in the strength card. And so for me, I had to pick my very favorite strength card, and it is the one from Fifth Spirit. It has a pity on it, and I think it's so cute. This is definitely one of my favorite strength cards ever. For me, it just really resonates because, you know, the love, well, like the tattoos, the love and the trust it takes to work with a rescue dog. It can take a lot of fortitude. And so to build that relationship enough so that they trust you, and I know that from personal experience. And so for me, I love this card because it just, I don't know. I love this card because it brings up so many feelings, and it just, this is what strength means to me, is even if it's hard and even if it takes time, having the ability to just work with that dog until you can build that relationship and help them just means a lot to me. So that is why I chose the strength card from the Fifth Spirit to be my strength card without a lion in it choice. Next prompt is a deck that comes in a box inside another box. And I'm not going to show you the big box for this one, but for this one, I chose the Hour Tarot. It's really, when I first opened this deck, it was really, really silly because it comes in like a box that is, you know, probably about the same height and width as a Llewellyn box, but it was even thicker than a Llewellyn box. So it's a pretty big box. And that's partially because it, you know, this is the guidebook. It's really thick. And so it's a pretty big box. And you open it all up. And then you come across this little teeny deck that's in another box. So I decided that this was going to be my choice just because of the sheer silliness of this giant box for this pretty small deck. And so that's why the big box is just, it's in storage with my other boxes, and I just store it in the little box because it takes up way less space. And so again, I just have a shelf where the guidebook can be, and then I can just store this little deck. So yeah, this is a really great deck. I like it. I was using it a ton in March, so I just got done using it a bunch, and so I've kind of put it away for a while, but I think this deck is great, and it is one of my favorites. So yeah, this is the Hour Tarot, and this is the mass market edition. The next prompt is a deck that would not appear in your top 10 favorites. So for this one, I chose the Spacious Tarot. I have kind of an interesting relationship with this deck. I like it. I just don't use it that often. And so that is why I think that it felt perfect for this prompt, because it's a deck that I don't use very often. And I love this Temperance card. It's a deck that I don't use very often, but I also would never consider getting rid of it. And so it's one that I wanted to highlight, even though it would probably never be in my top favorite decks. But it is the kind of deck that I should like. It's very naturey. It has nice colors. And so, you know, I should really like it. But I just don't use it that much. So I thought I would have it for this one, for this prompt. A deck that will not appear in my top 10 favorite decks. That's so cute though, the little bear. So yeah, this was the Spacious Tarot. The next prompt is deck that you associate with the color green. And so for me, I chose the Terra Arcana, the Earth Tarot. Look at these backs. They're very, very green. And so there's a lot of green in this deck. Again, this is from the same series as the very first deck I showed you. That was the Fire deck. This is the Earth deck in that series. And so it just has a lot of green in it. And so this one focuses on animals, specifically mostly mammals, I think, although maybe not exclusively. But it focuses on earth animals. And it's just a really great deck. This one, honestly, is one in the series that I don't use quite as much because I have another animal deck that I really love. But I do love those beavers, though. That's so cool. I love beavers. So I don't use this one as much, mostly because I have another animal deck that I really like. And so when I'm looking for an animal deck, I usually grab that one. But I wanted to have all of the decks in the series because I have been doing some readings with the 4 different elements in them. And so I like having this earth one for those types of readings. But this one is just, it's very green. And so it is a deck that I associate with green. So yeah, that was the Earth Tarot. Next prompt is a secondhand, pre-loved, pre-owned, thrifted deck. And so for this one, I'm going to show the Dame Darcy's Mermaid Tarot. I have been working with my mermaid decks this month, and so this one was out on my table. And this is one that I got in a trade a long, long time ago. And the person was interested in the deck that I had, and I was ready to trade that deck. I don't even remember what it was now. I was ready to trade that deck, and the person had this deck, and I was like, sure, I'll try it. And it turns out I actually really like this deck. It's very silly, but it's also just a fun deck to use. And so, yeah, this is a deck that I got in a trade. So it was a pre-loved deck. And I'm pretty big on getting decks that are used. You know, I think as long as you're keeping your deck in pretty good condition, then I don't see why you wouldn't get it used. So yes, I'm just enjoying flipping through this deck. But anyway, so this is the Mermaid Tarot. The next prompt is a deck in your collection with the most used guidebook. And so for me, I am going to choose the Arboretum Oracle. And the reason I chose this one is because, well, first, look at this guidebook. I've used it so much that I'll show the cards as well. So the reason I chose this deck is because, and I would never use any of these Matlock decks without the guidebook. Mostly because the guidebook is so special, and each of these cards have a story that goes along with them. And so for me, I think there's a lot of magic in those stories. And so whenever I pull a card, I always read the stories. So I always use the guidebook. And I specifically chose this one because this was my first Matlock deck that I ever got. And this is also one of my, if I had to choose a favorite of all of the Matlock decks, this one would probably be my favorite as well. And so I do use this one a lot. And I always use the guidebook. And so I do think, you know, other decks, sometimes I use the guidebook and sometimes I don't. But yeah. So I had to choose this one. And this is such a great deck. I love all of the Matlock decks. They're my favorite. But anyway, so this was my choice for a deck in your collection with the most used guidebook. Okay, we are getting down to the end. We only have a couple more prompts left. The next prompt is a deck with water on the box. And so I chose the Wisdom of the Depths Tarot because obviously there's a lot of water in the box. I really love this deck. It is very watery. This is by the same creator who currently has the Sacred Rebels Tarot on Kickstarter right now, and her Sacred Rebels Oracle just came out. This is the same creator. This was one of my first decks that I got of hers, and I really love it. It's very collage-y, and honestly, before this deck, I didn't think I was a collage person. And I'm still not a big collage person, but for whatever reason, I really love the way she does collage. And so I really like this deck. And so whenever I'm looking for kind of a watery feeling deck, this is one of the decks that I'm most likely to go for, because I think it's a great deck and I really love it. And so this is my choice for a deck with water on the box. And this is Wisdom of the Depths Tarot. Very last prompt is a deck with your most favorite card ever. And I did show one of my very favorite cards. The Fifth Spirit Strength card is one of my most favorite cards. But this was the first card that came into my mind, so I decided to show it. I have two versions of it. This is the Star card from Forager's Daughter. I really like this card. I actually, when I was starting out with tarot, I really liked the Forager's Daughter deck, but it felt a little bit too hard for me starting out. and so I didn't feel comfortable getting it right away, but I loved this star card so much that I actually bought an art print of it when I originally thought that I would not actually be getting this deck, because I thought I wouldn't be able to use it because it would be too hard. And so, you know, turns out that's not true. And now I have a couple of different versions of this deck, but I just love this star card. You know, we have bird feeders at our house, and I always love it when our cardinal couple stops by. I love winter, so I love the snow and the ice in this card. I love the idea of kind of the North Star imagery that is in this card as hope related to this deck. And I forget what the flower in this card is, but just in general, this is one of my favorite cards ever. You know, I've talked about in other videos about how I really like seeing decks that have the type of nature that I would see outside when I go outside. And so because of that, I really love this deck, but I also really love this card in particular. It feels like such a beautiful and happy card for me. So this is my choice. The Forger's Daughter is my choice for the deck with my most favorite card in it. So yeah, that was really fun. I got to talk about a lot of decks. That's always great. Hopefully this doesn't end up being too long. But thank you so much for stopping by. If you are enjoying seeing this content, enjoying getting to hear about my decks, I would love it if you could subscribe to my channel or like the post down below. But yeah, I would also be curious to hear what your favorite decks are for some of these prompts. Or if you're doing a video, I'd love to see your video. Let me know, and I'll go check it out because it's always fun. I have been actively trying not to look at other people's videos until I shot my own, just because I wanted to have, you know, an unbiased choices for myself. But now I'm definitely going to go and watch all of the other videos, responses to this tag. So yeah, if you're doing one, let me know. I'd love to watch it. But anyway, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next video.